broken home. Seen so many people go. Learn to make it on my own. It's easier for me to be alone. So how are you? Keep cutting through. Maybe you're not like the other guy.
won't you come over? Dying to know where you came from. We're breaking open. Feel like our future's just begun. And all I know is that we lost time. If we stay right here, we could free ourselves inside. We'll stay awake forever. We'll hide away where no one knows. Let's run away together. Just lead me into your world. We'll stay awake forever.
fuerzas ultrapenetrantes. Estamos cansados de los farsantes, de los...
It's beautiful. Perfect, but useless. I have something for you. Give me your hands.
Papa.
Now, the grenade is simple. It has 4 basic parts. The shell, which contains the explosive, the fuse, the handle, and of course, the pin.
What are you doing?
Breathe. The pin simply holds the handle in place. It is only when you let go that this grenade goes boom. Follow me. Now. I am El Presidente, which means that someday you will be El Presidente. And our people, they do not know how to be happy. They are torn apart by opinions, noise, indecision, strangled by their own freedoms. And even if you have love in your heart, even if you want what's best for them, if you only want to save them from themselves, they will hate you, Diego. Everything you say, do, believe, will be wrong. They will answer you with screams, call you evil, a monster, and give you this. So you tell me, are you evil? Are you a monster? Because our country is like this grenade, except it has 2 basic parts. Our people. And you must clutch them nice and tight, or we all go boom. Do you understand now? Prove it.
Watch more from Far Cry 6.
Far Cry 6. Yesterday, we got our first proper look at what the next installment in the Far Cry series will look like, and it's safe to say it seems that they're definitely cranking the craziness and production quality up a few levels. Think renowned actors, screenwriters, the possible return of Vaz from Far Cry 3, and most importantly, dogs on wheels. More on that later. But in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at all of the information released about the game so far, some in-game screenshots, and what to expect from the gameplay in Far Cry 6. A big thanks to Ubisoft for sponsoring this one, and if you want to know more about the game, there's a link down in the description below. So having a big actor take center stage in a video game is not something new, but when I saw that Giancarlo Esposito was going to have a major role in the new Far Cry game, you could absolutely understand how he would be the perfect fit for the game's villain. Esposito has had big roles in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and The Mandalorian, and that gritty bad guy just seems to suit him. In Far Cry 5, the game's main antagonist was Joseph Seed, and he essentially wanted to see the world burn, and you were sent in to stop that from happening. I don't think he was quite as memorable as someone like Pagan Min from Far Cry 4 or Vaz from Far Cry 3, and the Vaz comparison could actually be really important. As for the setting of the game, well, Far Cry 6 is set on an island called Yara, whose leader is Anton Castillo, played by Esposito, and he rules with an iron fist. You, on the other hand, play as Danny Rojas, a native who joins up with a guerrilla faction to overthrow the president's control, and you can choose to play as male or female. While the setting is fictional, it very much has a Cuban feel and aesthetic to it. You can definitely see where they drew inspiration from. There's also one more character that's been revealed, and as it turns out, it could be the most important one in terms of the overall story, and that is Anton's son, Diego. So far, we've seen an incredibly well done stylized title sequence for the game with an absolutely banging soundtrack, and then another cinematic trailer where Anton Castillo is trying to teach his son Diego a lesson. Far Cry games haven't tended to have children in them before though, but in the case of Far Cry 6, there seems to be a very big focus on the character of Anton and his relationship with his son Diego, even to the point where Diego is right there on the cover art, and seemingly Anton wants to mold his son to take over his reign when the time is right. In fact, there will be a dynamic story in the gameplay between all three characters, and this time you'll even get a voice. You'll get to see your own character. In previous Far Cry games, even the last one, the main antagonist tended to be this overall bad guy who appeared at the start, disappeared for the middle, and then you had to do things and they'd pop up every now and again just to remind you that they were still there. But this time, you, the character, like I said, you'll see yourself, and it seems that you will interact with the two other main characters here quite a lot. The narrative director on this project, Naveed Kavari, has said that the team wanted to ensure that you got a good amount of face time with Anton to be able to see things from his perspective, and as such there will be an ongoing dynamic between these three characters. Your character Danny, as I mentioned, can be either male or female, and this time around you will speak. In Far Cry 5 you could choose to play as either male or female, but you were simply known as the deputy and you didn't speak. So I think it's good to see more of a character this time around, and so it will be interesting to see how that changes the dynamic of the story. One of the more interesting things though, I think, with this game is Diego. There are a lot of theories floating around the internet right now with some evidence to back them up that Diego is in fact Vaz when he was younger from Far Cry 3. The idea is that Far Cry 6 is actually a prequel to Far Cry 3, and the actions of the game will turn Diego into the person we met as Vaz, and I wanted to touch on this and why it could be interesting if it was correct, and also look at the evidence for both sides. Right now we don't have an actual time setting for Far Cry 6, just some screenshots, the cinematic trailer, and the idea that it's a modern setting. What exactly covers modern though? Well, that's the question. Ubisoft, maybe they're being intentionally vague here to stop people connecting the dots. Now, one of the main reasons that people have come up with the Vaz conclusion though is the scar. If you look at the cover art for the game, you can see a clear scar over the right eye of Diego, and some people have said that Vaz has that same scar. I do have to say, it seems odd that Diego would have a very similar scar to the one that Vaz has, but it does become more believable though when you take into consideration a comment that Michael Mando, the guy that plays Vaz, made himself on Reddit a few months ago, and he replied to a comment on Vaz saying the following: "Thank you so much, Vaz is my spirit animal. Having co-created that character is something that will always be dear to me. I still get recognized as Vaz, and I still feel that outpouring of love for the character. It makes me very happy. Who knows, maybe I will reprise the role very soon." And then he does a little sticky out tongue. Teasing. Again, that doesn't prove anything, but he does kind of look like him, doesn't he? It would be a what if Diego is in fact Vaz, and the actions of the game lead to him being shaped into the person we know that he turned into. Perhaps at the end of the game, we might jump forward in time and Michael Mando will be making an appearance as an adult Vaz once again. Based on some other evidence though, not everything lines up. For starters, Vaz has a canon backstory already, which completely goes against this theory. He was supposedly born on the Rook Islands in 1985 and was a member of the Rakyat. Not only that, but Far Cry 3 is set in 2012 and Vaz is an adult there, yet in the cinematic trailer for Far Cry 6 we can clearly see a modern cell phone on the table, and at this point Diego is still a child, so that simply doesn't make sense in terms of the timeline. And while I think the idea of having a prequel would be great, and I guess we can't rule it out, especially if Ubisoft have thought something clever here, but the modern tech in the trailer seems to put a stop to any of the Vaz theories, for me at least, unless there's a time machine involved, but okay, let's not go there. Maybe Vaz will just turn up as an older character. The setting does seem very similar to Far Cry 3 based on the screenshots. And what about the island of Yara then? What can we expect? Well, Montana from Far Cry 5 was gorgeous, but Yara is aiming to not only give you that classic Far Cry feel when it comes to the vistas and environments, but also add new ones into the mix. In Yara, you're going to find tropical beaches, jungles, but also the island's main sprawling city, something new for Far Cry. Of course, Far Cry wouldn't be Far Cry without some kind of jungle environment, but the idea that there'll be a big city for the first time is really interesting to me, not least for the factor of verticality and parkour. I mentioned earlier that Yara is heavily inspired by Cuba, but what we don't know is exactly what year it's set in. The island of Yara, it seems, is almost frozen in time, but Ubisoft's goal, they say, is to make a living postcard with some vintage thrown in, and it's implied that Yara has been shut off from the rest of the world for some time. So when it comes to the weapons and vehicles, you're definitely going to get some unique stuff here. During your time in the game, you'll get interesting weapons that have been cobbled together from whatever you can muster. You're part of the guerrillas and you're fighting against an army that has tanks, military vehicles, and modern weapons. But the stuff you'll be using will be heavily modified and recycled. Guns with custom scopes, rifles that you've stuck together with glue and maybe used parts of cars and exhausts. The game is going to have some really unique weapons and I'm all for that. One of them even looks like a nail gun in the screenshots. The cars there look to be maybe lots of 80s American convertibles, and there's a horse. I presume you can ride that too, get around the level. Planes as well in the sky. Looks like they'll be making a comeback. There is one other animal though that I promised we'd talk about. Chorizo. And this, I suppose, is a continuation of the Fangs for Hire system that's been in a couple of the Far Cry games now. Chorizo in Far Cry 6 is a sausage dog with wheels. Of course he is. Chorizo's obviously had some sort of sad accident, and therefore he's been equipped with some wheels to keep him moving. And in the box there, it looks like there's a couple of scopes and magazines, so maybe that's how it will help you during combat, delivering supplies. Cute and lethal. I like the combination. And you know, we'll remember Cheeseburger the bear from Far Cry 5. How could we not? But Chorizo will be one of the new buddies that you can take into battle with you. And I assume there'll also be human companions too, like there was in Far Cry 5. Sadly, we didn't get to see any real gameplay, just the gameplay screenshots, but hopefully we will see more later in the year. Apparently Ubisoft are planning to do more of those forward events in the future. And as of right now, Far Cry 6 is set to release on February 18th next year. It's been in the works for 4 years, they say, and it's coming out on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Google Stadia. That's a lot of platforms. Let's just hope they get it right. With that said, that's all for today, folks. Do let me know your thoughts on Far Cry 6 down in the comments below. I have to say that I'm enjoying the vibe of the game. If that's a thing that you can enjoy, the production quality definitely seems to have increased, and the fact that they've got these big actors in, that TV style intro, the soundtrack, it's just a cool setting. And those screenshots, they look pretty next gen to me. Can't wait to see some real gameplay though. Maybe I'll get hands on soon. I hope so. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.
And it's funny how when you unlock the roles on the spinner, they give you Captain Price dog, but Captain Price has
It's like game chat is too loud. Interesting. Game chat is too. What is that supposed to do with this? Alright, we got this. It's the last match. We got this. I felt, yo, what we dropping before we go in, yo? We gotta come to a agreement. Nobody knows? Alright, sweet. Good talk. I think it's gonna end up like Damn military TV station thing. Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Oh, and Dave, all you gotta do is right. You gotta do the Thunderdome. Put that, you gotta put that shit in there. You know, the Thunderdome.
120 men enter, 4 men leave.
Oh no! Alright, so we letting you wear it, guys?
Hold on, let me just wait till the circle comes in, figure out.
Put it in the air. See how the plane is gonna be flying, but they're going straight before it down. Right. Man, this is a big ass circle, so we don't even know where the circle gonna hit that. I don't know what the fuck.
Billet or prison? Really? Question mark?
Prison. Prison. Like,
Alright. Let's do it, man. I'm down.
fuck it.
Are y'all sure? Are you positive?
3, 1, jump, jump.
So we're going prison, right? Prison. Alright. I feel like we're in the Power Rangers. I don't know why. I'm getting shot. Yo, what's up? It's like this.
Yeah, man, don't come in. I see him, I see him, I see him.
I don't think I'm gonna make it prison.
He's right under the drum. He's right under the drum. Yeah, he wants that ass. He really wants that ass.
Want that spandex butt cheeks. I don't think, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. I don't think anybody else is going there though, so yo, get the helicopter if you can.
I see one.
Oh, I see him. Should've went and got the helicopter.
Okay. Ain't nobody, I'm gonna get the heli.
You good, man? You good? It's Caleb.
Go ahead, get to the top, get to the top. That shit over there, they can't get it.
I'm just glued up. You shoot.
Why he jumped down? Nobody gotta go all the way to the bottom of it. Try to see if they
I don't know
Oh, we got one guy here.
Oh god.
One guy here. I don't know why he is by himself though.
Yeah, where's he at? Down low? Yeah, he's up top. He's up top.
Right here. Ah, shit. Trying to be secret.
Yeah, he's up top. Right below you, Scoop. Right on blue. Yeah, I don't know where he went, man.
He like a fucking rat. Pop your hand out, man. Oh, I see him. He running away. He popped up.
There it is.
Run, you little bitch.
Jesus, man.
Oh, you wanna fuck with me, buddy? I broke your armor with the pistol, bitch. And this downed him.
Nice.
Wait, you downed him?
Yep, with the FAL.
Oh, I'm going for that ass. Don't kill him. Come on, go for that ass. Hold on.
Alright.
Shit up, that's
Yo, it's another satchel over here if you want it.
Oh, it gave me the kill. He must have died.
Yeah, he must have died. You know, he gave up. He gave up because you knew about to assassinate him. I was teabagging him before I did it.